everyone, Chimi here, back with another video. This time I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a while. I'm going to do another toy review, specifically Transformers, which is what I used to do for a while and then I just stopped doing them. So now we're going to get back into it, and we're going to start off here with Studio Series Sentinel Prime. So let's take a look at the box first. So here we see the box. Here we have a picture of Sentinel Prime, number 61, Studio Series. And down here, very interesting, we have a Decepticon logo for Sentinel Prime. Somewhat of a spoiler if you've seen Dark of the Moon. But anyway, let's move on. Over on this side, we have another image of Sentinel Prime. In the back here, we have the actual toy itself. And it says here, Battle of Chicago. We have Rosenbauer. This is a Rosenbauer Panther 6x6 that he transforms into. So this is officially licensed. And then over here we have another picture of Sentinel Prime Voyager class. So that is it for the outside of the box. Let's look at the cardboard that comes inside. So here we have our little diorama display. And as you can see here, it is the Battle of Chicago, specifically the bridge where that final battle between Optimus, Sentinel, and at the end Megatron takes place. And of course, if we want, we can put our figure here on the stand. You could do it in vehicle mode or robot mode. Of course, right now I have it in vehicle mode. I kind of like these cardboard displays that come with the figures. They're not my favorite thing. I don't really use them that much. But it's still nice to have. It's still nice to be able to have the option to display something and not have to print out or recreate the whole scene. So this is kind of nice. Right, so let's get into the figure itself. Here we have Sentinel Prime in his vehicle mode, which is, like I said before, a Rosenbauer Panther 6x6. This is probably one of my favorite vehicle modes of the movie Transformers. And there's a lot of detail. This is a really cool truck in real life, in the movie, and as a toy. So I really do quite like this. I'm not a big fan of the serial number there, but what are you going to do, right? And as you can see here, they have the logos, the 316. Lots of nice detail here, as you can see. And just for comparison, I'm going to bring out a few figures. So the first one that I want to compare this to is Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime, and you can see a huge difference between these two figures. So as you can see, the new Studio Series is quite a bit bigger. It's a slightly different shade of red. This is a little bit more pink, although I'm not sure if that's really faded. I don't think it has. I think it was just a lighter shade for the Dark of the Moon figure. You can also see here that this hose is quite different. One thing that is an advantage for the Dark of the Moon figure is that this can actually rotate, whereas this one cannot. So that is one thing that is slightly unfortunate, but it's not really the biggest deal. It's not a deal breaker for sure. And if we keep looking here, we keep comparing the two figures. Here we have the back of the figure. Again on the other side. The front. The top. And then the bottom. And as you can see, the Studio Series figure is a lot cleaner of a transformation. This one, you can basically see the entire robot mode. You can see the head, the chest, the legs. Whereas with this figure, you kind of see the legs, but that's pretty much it. I guess you can kind of see the head poking through there very slightly. But it's a much cleaner looking transformation. It's a lot better in my opinion. This is leagues better than the Dark of the Moon figure, which was so-so. For another couple comparisons, here we have another Studio Series figure, Studio Series Ratchet, and as you can see, I think these are fairly in scale with each other. You know that Studio Series is all about keeping the scale as close as possible in vehicle and robot mode. I think that the scale here is pretty good. We'll bring in another figure, Deluxe Class Scoop, one of my favorite Deluxe classes. This is a fairly standard generation size Deluxe, maybe slightly wider than average. And here of course you can see how they compare. So that's it for our vehicle mode comparisons. Let's get into transformation. So the first thing we're going to want to do with this guy is to bring down these little mirror pieces just to get them out of the way. Flip up this hinge and peg that into place here. And then we're going to want to take off these side pieces. So we're going to just kind of finagle these there. I'm going to put those off to the side for now. And then the next part we're going to do, we're going to take this whole part here. We're just going to kind of split it if we can. Easier said than done. I would probably split it here first and then let it pop out. So we split that whole part. And this is what's going to become the legs. So let's focus on the legs first. So here we have our legs. We're going to kind of rotate this piece out first, just so that's out of the way. And then we're going to take this side panel. I'm just going to flip that out of the way for now. Flip all of this out of the way. Now take these feet, bring them up, and then we're going to kind of split that, flip this down inside, and then we're going to take this piece and we're going to fold this up, and we're going to have this little ball joint right here, and we're going to rotate like so until this logo is pointing in the same direction generally as the feet. And so then we're going to take this piece, and we see this tab right here that's going to tab into this slot. So we're going to bring that in, and then we're going to take this whole piece and we're going to rotate and collapse this in. And there we have our leg. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. We're going to fold this out. We're going to bring up this part, split it, fold this in, fold this panel, rotate the ball joint, tab the tab into the slot, rotate 180, and then tab the chin section. And there we have our legs. So the next part that we're going to look at here are the arms. We're just going to bring down the arms slightly. We're going to untab this section and bring that out. I'm going to keep this down for now. Now this part can be a little difficult to untab. At least for me, it has proven fairly difficult. So we'll see how it goes now. But I have to somehow separate this section from the side panels. And that's easier said than done, like I said, at least on my figure. We might have to skip forward here if I can't do it. I'm going to try to show you how to split this panel. It's quite complex and I may be doing something wrong, but there we go. So we're going to pull this part out and down. I'm going to fold this in, fold it in again. So we have that whole section collapsed. Then after that, we're going to, you see the head here, so we're going to take the head up, We're gonna rotate this part, might as well right now. I'm gonna keep that like that for now. Flip this in. And then I guess we can kind of collapse this section, this waist section. Keep that flap down there. And then we're going to bring the arms. We are going to tab this tab into this slot. That's going to tab in there. Bring down the arms and then flip in this chest section. And it will tab in. Same on this side. Tab in. Rotate the arms down. Tab the chest in. Bring the arms down. Bring up these shoulder pieces. And then on this back section, we're going to split. And we are done with Sentinel Prime. So here we have Studio Series Voyager class Sentinel Prime in all his glory. And I have to say, this is an incredible figure. This is absolutely one of my favorite figures that I have gotten in recent years. And leagues better than the Dark of the Moon Voyager Sentinel Prime. There's so much articulation and so much detail in this figure. So let's look at articulation. Starting with the head. He's got a ball joint in the head, which is somewhat limited. He can look up that far and down that far. Looks side to side, but cannot rotate 360 because mostly the beard kind of gets in the way of actually going around fully. The arms can do a full 360, hinge for outward movement, swivel at the elbow, a more than 90-degree bend at the elbow, wrist rotation, so you can get some really cool poses with those arms. Waist has a slight swivel, though it's slightly hindered by this back piece and by the wheels. Legs can do the splits, can go forward that much and can kick back that much with the backpack in place. If we rotate the backpack out a little bit, it can kick back a lot more. Swivel at the knee joint, a 90-degree bend at the knee, and a little bit of foot articulation, though not much. And the feet are molded at a slight angle as well. So you can get some pretty awesome poses with this guy. To go along with that high level of articulation, you're going to want to have some kind of weapon so that he can actually use that articulation and look really cool. So remember those two panels that we popped off earlier? Well, here they are. We're going to put them together. So when you put them in vehicle mode, these parts are folded in. When you fold them out, you can tab them together and have that sword from the movie. Now this is pretty cool. I wouldn't say it's perfectly accurate. A lot of the molded detail on this side looks really great. Of course, if you look at it from this side, it's literally just the side of the truck. But I suppose a couple compromises there had to be made so that you could have a perfect vehicle mode and an actual weapon. So, to put this into his hand, we're going to split this. I like to put this part on the outside because it looks more like an actual blade. So I'm going to put this into his hand. And then we're going to slide the other part in here. As long as we don't bend the hinge there. I like to try and center it. There we go. And there is Sentinel Prime holding his weapon. Now if you remember, in the movie he also had a shield. This figure unfortunately does not come with that shield. However, the shield, if you look at the design in the movie, is pretty much the same as the one that Optimus had. In fact, this isn't really confirmed, it's more just my theory. I think that Optimus gave him that shield. So, if you really want, and if you have the Jetwing Optimus Prime, you could put the shield here in his hand. I'm not sure if there's a spot on the shield to peg in here. I don't have that figure in hand yet. I have ordered it, but I don't have it. Once I do, and once I do a review of that figure, if the shield can be pegged in here, I will be sure to mention that in the video. So we'll find out once I get the Jetwing Optimus Prime in hand. But anyway, by itself, the blade is still really cool. I think it could use a little bit of paint on this side, but otherwise I think it looks great in hand. So you can get off some really, really awesome poses. And you could also do two-handed if you really wanted to. I'd have to finagle it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure you could get that. So you can get it to work, however you are going to have to split the two parts in order for him to hold it, but it does give the illusion that it is one single weapon that he is holding. And of course you could have him dual wielding these if you really wanted. Like I said before, the detailing on this figure is phenomenal, and you can see that here in the head sculpt, which really does look like Sentinel Prime from the movie, and is, like I said again, leagues better than the Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime Voyager class. So I think that this is a really substantial upgrade that they've done. There's some really nice detail here, especially on the chest, the arms, the legs as well. Lots of great molded detail and a very nice glossy red paint. And I really do think that this figure is way better than the previous figures. I know I've said that already, but this really does capture the likeness. And I love that they have a real chest and not a fake one, like with the original Voyager. So let's bring in a couple figures here for comparison. The first I'm going to show is the Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime, and you can just see how much better this Studio Series is. As well as being slightly taller, it is much beefier, has much better articulation, and has a better weapon, honestly, as well. This figure is very limited in how it can move. It has some pretty crazy ratchets. They just move outward so much in between each ratchet, and it makes it hard to pose. Both of these are slightly shell formery-ish. This one having, pretty much the whole truck on its back. And this one having that somewhat, but I think that they integrate the vehicle mode parts a lot better in the new Sentinel Prime than with this old one. Another comparison we can show here is Studio Series Ratchet. And again, I think that the scale here is pretty good. I also really like this Ratchet figure, but I think that the scale here really works and really does look good together. They look like a pretty cool pair there. And the last comparison is Deluxe Class Scoop, and here you can see kind of the scale, if I can get him to stand, the scale for a general release, generally sized Generations figures. That's a lot of G's. That's a lot of gens there. But yeah, that's a pretty standard deluxe size figure, and you can see how that would compare next to Studio Series Sentinel Prime. So, overall, do I think you should buy Studio Series number 61 Voyager Class Sentinel Prime? Absolutely. Without a doubt, one of my favorite Studio Series figures that's come out of the line so far. I would say one of the best. And if you have the Optimus Prime from the Studio Series line, you're definitely going to want to get Sentinel Prime. If you have this Dark of the Moon figure, replace it. Get this one instead. Sell that old Dark of the Moon one, I don't know. Or keep it if you want. But this one pales in comparison to the Studio Series. Studio Series is so much better. It's a fantastic update for the character. It actually does the character Sentinel Prime some justice and gives him a fantastic figure that you can pose together with your other movie figures. So I absolutely recommend Studio Series Sentinel Prime. Like I said, amazing figure. I'm honestly quite blown away. It's probably one of my favorite figures that I have bought this year. So I would definitely recommend it. I hope that you have enjoyed this review, and I will catch you all next time on this channel.